This video is going to explain how to configure Atrium SSO to leverage Kerberos. Hello, my name is John Stamps from the BMC documentation team. In the next few slides, we're going to see how to integrate Atrium SSO with Kerberos authentication. So what is the advantage of Kerberos authentication? Most corporations have their corporate domains, and users would log into the domains. So the Kerberos integration gives them a seamless access to AR system applications without entering a user ID or password. So once you log into the computer, into the corporate domain, then you can access the Remedy application without entering a user ID or password. Well, what does Kerberos authentication consist of? There are 4 simple steps that are needed. Number 1, create a user account in the Active Directory domain for Atrium SSO. Number 2, generate a key tab file. Number 3, define a Kerberos module image in Atrium SSO. And number 4, make some changes on the user browser sessions. So, let's go ahead one by one and see how we will do this. So in step 1, what we do is basically we log into the Active Directory domain server and then create an account for Atrium SSO service. So in this example, we use the computer name as the login name. So in this dialog box, enter the details here and make sure that the user login name follows this syntax. HTTP/ then name whatever you choose as the domain name, then enter the password for that user, and make sure that you check those boxes, password never expires, and user cannot change password. And then, next box, click Finish. This basically creates a user account for the Atrium SSO server. This is the first step in setting up Kerberos. Once you've done this, step 2 is creating the key tab file, which will be used in Atrium SSO Kerberos module definition. So in the key tab, what we're using here are 2 of the parameters that we created earlier. Map user, that's the SSO server username that you created in Active Directory, and what's the principal name, which is the logon name. And then enter your password, and the rest of the data will be the same, and the target is your domain name. And make sure that you enter a complete domain name in the user principal mapping. After this, you hit enter, and that will create the key tab file in the folder you specified. So the next step is to copy the key tab file into the Agent SSO server machine. So now you're halfway through the Kerberos integration basically. Step 3 is defining a Kerberos module in the Atrium SSO server. So access the Atrium SSO console by using the administrator user ID and password, and once you log in, you'll get to this screen where you can see all this important information like agent, the load balancer information, and on this screen click the Edit BMC Realm button on the left hand side, and that will bring you to this particular screen. Well, there's one important thing to remember about the user profile is that you have to make it dynamic. What this means is whenever the user doesn't exist in Atrium SSO, it's going to create that user on the fly. So Kerberos is not going to check for the existence of that user. So click on the Kerberos button from the drop down, and then you'll get to this screen where you enter all your service principal name, which is nothing but the user login name that we specified while creating the Active Directory user. And then the key tab file is the one that we copied from the Active Directory machine. And the Kerberos realm is nothing but your domain name. And the KDC server name is your Active Directory server name. So once you specify these parameters, and when you hit save, the system does the validation. That means it will check whether the service principal name you entered is matching with the key tab file or not. If it matches, then it will save the definition. Otherwise, it will return an error message. So once you save it, this is all it's going to look like you already have a Kerberos module. And here we're saying that it's a required authentication module. That means every user has to satisfy this requirement. And if they don't, they cannot access the AR application. Final step is user browser configuration. Now for this testing, we're using a test account called SSO test to log into the domain, and once you're into the domain, you have to make some changes to your Internet Explorer. So basically you open Internet Explorer, click on the options, click on the security tab, and select local intranet, and click the advanced button. And there you'll see that you add the SSO server name into the website. Now this is the first step of browser configuration. Second configuration we need to make is click on the custom level at the local intranet, and in the security settings window you select the automatic logon only in intranet zone. These are the two major configuration settings you need to do on every user browser. Your corporation or your company might have an IT policy where they can push the changes across all the users. So you may want to check with your IT department to push the changes so that every user is automatically configured for Kerberos authentication. Now, once you've done this, enter the browser, enter the URL. This is basically the mid-tier server name with the port number. And if you don't have a port number, you don't have to enter it. And access the application. And once you do that, then the next screen will show you that it's getting loaded automatically without any challenge mechanism. This means that we've done the Kerberos authentication seamlessly, and then the SSO server verified that your ticket is valid and you're allowed to access the application. Now, based upon your permission to the AR system, you'll get access to all the applications that you're eligible to run. In our system here, we only have a basic installation, so I only see a few products here. Right now, we're going to access the class manager, and just to show you that you can access the application based on your permissions. So this is it. These 4 simple steps will allow you to seamlessly log into SSO and access the applications. That is the remedy direction, that application directly. Now, as you see in this slide demonstration, the Kerberos definition and integration is not much of a huge task from the SSO point of view. But most of the issues you might see where the Kerberos is generated with a different authentication, well, a different encryption basically, and Java cannot handle it. So most of the issues are between the Kerberos system and the Windows security policies, and also the way the Internet Explorer does the NTLM work of Kerberos authentication. 80% of the time though, Kerberos definitions will work as is, but sometimes you might run into issues that are specific to your environment. So in those particular cases, please contact BMC support and we will be glad to help you. Thank you for watching this video.